Prices for existing home sales in the U.S. are at their highest ever. We have the details on that coming up today on Business Matters. Happy Friday, and thank you very much for joining me here today. I'm your host, Don Ma. Starting off with markets, S&P 500, NASDAQ here today, closed just a bit lower. Technology was the biggest loser among the 11 major S&P 500 sectors, and it was actually weighed down by NVIDIA, which, by the way, its shares declining for a second straight day. Now, NVIDIA of the markets is really their game right now. 7 million option contracts NVIDIA has traded. That's something in the neighborhood of 3 or 4 times the quantity of contract volume that would have traded for the market in total 5 years ago. So today's trading could actually be a bit more volatile than usual due to the simultaneous expiration of stock options, stock index options, and stock index futures. All right, moving on from that, and as I mentioned, existing homes for sale in America, the most expensive they've ever been, and this is according to new data from the National Association of Realtors. The price increased in May for the 11th consecutive month. The median price of a previously owned home in the U.S. last month is now more than $419,000, and that's the highest price on record. It's up about 5.8% from last year. Mortgage rates also remaining high here, while inventory remains low. Economists predict that the average mortgage rate won't fall below 6% this year. According to Zillow, households would need to save more than $127,000 to make a down payment on a typical home and afford the mortgage payment. All right, it is very hot. Another day of severe weather in much of the U.S. Parts of the country could actually set record highs today. And this weekend, the nation's capital could top 100 degrees for the first time since 2016. There's little to no escape from sweltering temperatures, especially, for example, if you're a construction worker who have to work outdoors. One worker says it's so hot that, quote, you feel death at your doorstep. Now, the intense heat is also disrupting small and large businesses, sapping away consumer spending and tourism. It's estimated that heat waves result in a 1% loss of global economic activity, according to a director at Moody's Analytics. Okay, moving on from that. TikTok ramping up its attacks on the Biden administration, and this is over a law that could potentially ban the popular app in the United States. So the short-form video platform and its Chinese parent company ByteDance urged a U.S. court to strike down the law, saying that a divestiture is not possible technologically, commercially, or legally. And TikTok saying that even if it is technically possible, it would actually take years, and it argues that the law runs against Americans' free speech rights. Now, the bill in fact passed overwhelmingly in Congress, and this is driven by worries that China could access data on Americans or spy on them with the app. The DOJ also recently saying that the law addresses critical national security concerns in a manner that, quote, is consistent with the First Amendment. And speaking of the Biden administration, it is planning to ban the Russian-made Kaspersky antivirus software. The Commerce Department says that Russia's influence over the company poses a significant security risk. NTD Sean Marshall has more.
The Biden administration is banning U.S. companies and citizens from using Kaspersky, a Russian antivirus software. It's an unprecedented step. The Commerce Department said it's out of national security concerns. The department says Moscow's influence over the company pose a significant risk.
One of the things that people don't understand is that antivirus software scans your entire computer in order to root out infections and bugs. So if you have a malicious piece of antivirus software on your computer, it can potentially get access to your files and other personal items such as passwords, addresses, anything that would lead a cyber criminal to assume someone's identity.
Cybersecurity firm Kaspersky is denying that it's a security threat. And the Kremlin said that a U.S. decision to ban Kaspersky software was a typical move by Washington to damage a company that competes with American ones. Meanwhile, the Commerce Department argues Russia has shown it has the capacity and the intent to exploit Russian companies like Kaspersky to collect and weaponize the personal information of Americans.
The other thing that's interesting about antivirus software, most Windows and Macintosh computers already have antivirus software built in. So there really isn't a need for any of the third-party programs that you would install on your computers.
Commerce Secretary Raimondo said, "I would encourage you in the strongest possible terms to immediately stop using that software and switch to an alternative in order to protect yourself, your data, and your family." Sean Marshall, NTD News.
Now, as we all know, the 2024 presidential election is just less than 5 months away, and former President Donald Trump has outraised President Joe Biden for the second month in a row. So Thursday, the Biden campaign and the Democratic Party said it raised more than $85 million in May. That amount, however, trailed former President Donald Trump and the Republican National Committee, who, by the way, raised $141 million. So last month, Trump's campaign received a $50 million infusion from a reclusive billionaire and heir to a banking future. But Thursday's filing also showed that legal expenses continue to drain Trump's campaign support. More than $3.6 million went towards legal expenses in May. Former President Trump yesterday floated a proposal to automatically give green cards to foreign students graduating from American colleges so that they can stay and work here in the country. Now, he was talking to a group of Silicon Valley investors on the All In podcast, which focuses on tech and investment. How to illegally retain high-skilled workers has been a major issue for the tech industry. So during the discussion, one of the hosts, Jason Calacanis, asked the former president to help the industry import more skilled workers if he got elected. Here's what Trump said.
What I want to do and what I will do is you graduate from a college, I think you should get automatically as part of your diploma a green card to be able to stay in this country. Somebody graduates at the top of the class, they can't even make a deal with the company because they don't think they're going to be able to stay in the country. That is going to end on day one.
Here's the thing, though. The proposal runs counter to the former president's hardline immigration stance. Later, the Trump campaign clarified that there would be strict vetting processes and only the most skilled graduates would be able to stay. One immigration advocate was not convinced by Trump's proposal. The policy director at the American Immigration Council said during Trump's administration, he adopted rules and policies to limit student visas and make it harder for people to stay after graduating. Now, for further breakdown of the likelihood and possible impact of such a rule, I spoke to immigration lawyer Kate Lincoln Goldfinch. I asked her, does this simplify the immigration process and cut the red tape?
Certainly, this would simplify some elements of the immigration process. Our immigration system, if you think of it like a pie, the biggest slice of pie is a family-based immigration, so relatives of U.S. citizens and permanent residents, and there are very long wait times in those categories for people to get green cards. Similarly, something exists in the employment-based slice of the pie, which is a little bit smaller, so that U.S. companies who want to hire foreign workers oftentimes cannot do it because there are not visas available or they cannot immigrate the workers that they want to immigrate. So this idea could solve a portion of the immigration problem, which would not be enough to solve the overall need for immigration reform in the country, but certainly it could make it easier for U.S. companies to hire foreign workers that they need to hire.
So are you saying that this would positively impact employers and companies? Is that what you're saying?
I am saying that. One of the things that we experience in the realm of immigration is that there are a lot of qualified foreign workers, many of whom graduate from U.S. educational institutions, who can't get visas. They cannot get work permission to stay in the United States. And that's because the H-1B visa has a lottery system that most of the applicants who apply don't get in. If they want to apply for a green card, the company has to wait many years sometimes to get the green card to the employee. And we lose really skilled, educated workers to other countries because we don't have a structure in place to keep them here. We really do shoot ourselves in the foot as a country with the current structure of our employment immigration system. So automatically granting green cards to graduates of U.S. institutions would solve a lot of those issues.
And I do understand that a lot of companies may or may not employ illegal immigrants. So if this rule is implemented, should it apply to illegal immigrants coming to the country?
Well, I mean, my guess of the way that this would play out. First of all, in order to grant a group of people green cards, a law would have to be passed by Congress. This is not something that a president can do on their own. Also, in my years of experience, I know that when a program like a new type of green card, a new type of visa gets announced, there are always very strict requirements about the history of the applicant, their criminal history, their immigration history, their unauthorized work history, for example. And my guess is that in a program like this, if it were to get all the way through Congress, there would probably be some requirement of not having worked without permission, or there would be a waiver required or something along those lines. It's very, very unlikely that even if Trump were to get elected, he would actually push forward a program like this. On the other hand, in my opinion, it's a good thing to hear former President Trump talk about immigrants in a positive light, because for so long he's been saying that immigrants are terrorists, drug traffickers, criminals, and they don't belong here, when of course we all know that this is a nation of immigrants, and that's what makes this country special.
Okay, just one final question here. Is there a question of fairness inherent to this idea? For example, how would those who gain a green card from other paths look at this?
Well, I do think that we have to consider the comprehensive need for immigration reform. There's a lot of categories that need fixing, and employment immigration visas is one of them. And so anytime you grant something for someone, there's another group of people left out. And so, of course, do we need to consider the full solution? Yes. And does that mean we shouldn't do anything piecemeal? No. I mean, if Congress passed a program to give green cards to college graduates, there would be people who would be left out, and there would be a lot of people who would benefit. So it doesn't mean it shouldn't be considered, in my opinion.
All right. Well, thank you so much for your time today, Kate. I hope I didn't keep you for too long.
No.
Okay, moving on from that, blue-collar work may be getting more fashionable, and in more ways than just one. It's gaining popularity, for example, on social media as well. So what's leading to the increase in popularity? I spoke to Matt Ebert. He's the CEO of Crash Champions, who may have some answers here. Matt, thank you so much for your time today. It's a pleasure to speak with you. I have some questions here. Starting off with, so on TikTok, apparently the hashtag blue collar is racking up 500,000 posts in the first 4 months of this year, which is, by the way, 64% more than the same period last year. So I understand that you are very successful. You're a very successful industry entrepreneur. Have you seen, from where you're standing, have you seen increased interest in blue collar professions?
Yeah, yes, we definitely have, and we're definitely out kind of trumpeting that there's a huge opportunity in blue collar that we want young people to be aware of. We're in a situation where for a couple or few decades now, a college path and white collar work has been kind of really promoted, and we think that there's a huge opportunity in blue collar that might not have been as appealing. And now there's a lot of trades, including ours, where there's a shortage of the blue collar workers that are needed to perform these trades and services. And salaries have come up significantly. And when you compare it to the path of going to school, going in a lot of debt, and then hopefully get a job in what you went to school for, compared to for our industry in collision repair, there's a huge shortage of technicians. We train, and so you're able to make money as you learn and end up with a career opportunity that we think is maybe better than everybody knows about.
So if you could put your finger on one single thing that has contributed to this increased interest in blue-collar work, what would you say that is?
A little bit of supply and demand has brought the pay up in a lot of cases. And also, when it comes to the social media platforms and the interest maybe in TikTok, I think some of it is people don't know what the day-to-day is like or what the job is really like. And so some of the social media exposure has let people maybe learn about it and what's involved. And maybe it's, interesting and something that people didn't even think about, but now being able to, because of the technology and because of people posting it, they see what these jobs are like on a day-to-day basis.
Let's also talk about something that is also very interesting to me, because you started off in 1999 as a single local repair center, and now you have hundreds of locations across the country. So, I mean, definitely a lot of effort went into that. What is your secret to success?
Sure. Really, the success is the team and that's around me, and just how good they are and how hard they work at it. It's really for us. We're helping people in a time of need. Even throughout COVID, for example, it slowed down because people were sheltering at home, but we were still a necessary business. For my company, we just happen to be in an industry that is in demand and people, it's a needs-based thing. And so it's a little bit immune to the economy getting stronger or weaker. It's a little bit immune to fads that come in. There's some components like that have made it really, really consistent for my company and our industry.
All right, very good. Thank you so much for your time today, Matt. Pleasure.
All right, thank you. Have a good day.
All right, good note to take a break here, but still to come, Spotify introducing a new basic plan. And what's in it? How much does it cost? And a new contender joining the booming weight loss drug market. We talked to some medical professionals about it and what people should watch out for when taking these drugs. That and more coming up in just a moment. Stay with us. Thank you very much for sticking with us here. I have some few more stories to go through with you today. Comcast has signed a deal with SpaceX's Starlink, and it is to provide satellite-based internet to Comcast business customers in regions with limited coverage, that is. So the deal is the first of its kind between a network operator and a satellite network. And the U.S. is offering $850 million in grants to clean up the oil sector's greenhouse gas emissions. It will specifically help small oil and natural gas operators reduce methane leaks and gain access to methane detection and reduction technologies. Spotify introducing a new streaming plan in the US today. It's going to start at $10.99 per month, cheaper than the premium plans. Spotify just recently raised the price for premium plans. But basic plan users won't be able to listen to audiobooks for free like premium plan users do. A new weight loss drug in the making sends shares of Denmark's Zealand Pharma to record highs. If successful, the drug would join the exploding weight loss drug market. Here's the story.
Petrelintide, a new weight loss drug in the making. Denmark-based Zealand Pharma has reported positive results from a clinical trial. The company said 16 weekly high doses reduced body weight by up to 8.6% on average for 48 participants.
We believe that petrelintide has the potential to become the backbone of therapy for weight management in the future.
If successful, petrelintide would join other drugs like Wegovy and Zepbound in the exploding weight loss drug market. Morgan Stanley says obesity drugs are having an unmatched market impact. It says the global market could potentially go from $6 billion in 2023 to $144 billion by 2030.
I prescribe these drugs on average probably 15 to 20 times every day. Now we have at our hands the ability to lose upwards of 20% of total body weight as compared to prior.
Nurse practitioner Allison Arnett says the current weight loss drugs are among the first that people can tolerate. She says the drugs aren't just about obesity, but also obesity-related ailments.
They're using it for cardiovascular purposes, for people who have known heart disease, hypertension. That's specific to semaglutide or GLPs. Then the GLP-GIP component, we're seeing the people that are involved with autoimmune disease.
These drugs generally work in two main ways.
One major way that these drugs work is by slowing down the gut. So the food takes longer to empty from your stomach. The other way that they work is in dealing with the metabolic syndrome, decreasing the patient's hunger.
Bariatric surgeon Nick Saker prescribes Ozempic and Wegovy. He says taking them is only one part of weight loss, not a cure-all. But he says he generally sees good results. Others aren't as positive about weight loss drugs.
We don't know the long-term side effects, and we also don't even know the long-term mental health side effects.
Therapist Rachel Goldberg says some patients report they don't enjoy eating food anymore. She says 10, 20, 30 years down the line, we have no idea what other effects there'll be.
So we always try to include some China-related stories in our episodes, and today the U.S. is proposing restrictions for AI and tech investment in China. The United States issued draft rules today to target investments in the communist country that could threaten U.S. national security. So the rule puts the burden on U.S. individuals and companies for deciding which transactions will be restricted or banned. So the regulations track restrictions on exporting certain technology to China, such as those barring shipments of certain advanced semiconductors. And this is part of a broader push to prevent U.S. know-how helping the Chinese to develop sophisticated technology and dominate global markets. And finally, luxury car maker Bugatti has unveiled a new hybrid model car with $4 million price tag. The Bugatti Tourbillon comes with a 16-cylinder gas engine and 3 powerful electric motors, 1 in the back and 2 in the front. In total, the Tourbillon will be able to put out at least 1,800 horsepower. The car is named after a set of gears on a mechanical watch, and inside the car's instrument display is modeled on technical mechanical watch dials. And Bugatti says only 250 of them will be built. All right, and that's all the stories we have for you today. Thank you very much for watching, and if you have any feedback for the episode, please feel free to let me know. You can email me at business@ntd.com or leave a comment online. I do read them, and as I always say, business matters. We'll see you back here Monday.